The wire transfer cleared at 9:14 a.m., and by 9:16 a.m., the man who had been guiding Ethan and Lily through the most important purchase of their lives no longer existed. At first, nothing felt wrong. Ethan was sitting at his desk in his office in Lower Manhattan, staring at the confirmation screen on his banking app, a quiet sense of relief settling in his chest. The number, $18,500, was large enough to matter, small enough to justify as a necessary step. He took a screenshot and sent it to Lily with a simple message, "It's done." She replied almost instantly, "This is really happening." That was the moment everything still felt real. Daniel Brooks had been convincing from the start, not overly friendly, not pushy, just precise. He spoke like someone who had done this hundreds of times, who understood the rhythm of real estate deals in competitive markets. When Ethan first called about the property, a 3-bedroom townhouse in Stamford, Connecticut, Daniel answered immediately, as if he had been expecting that call specifically. He didn't oversell the house. He didn't need to. The listing did that on its own. The photos were sharp, professionally shot, but not exaggerated. The price sat just below market value, not low enough to trigger alarm, just low enough to create urgency. The description was clean, free of fluff, recently renovated, motivated seller, quick closing preferred. Every word was doing a job. Lily found the listing at 11:42 p.m. on a Tuesday. By midnight, they had both agreed it was the strongest option they had seen in weeks. By 8:30 a.m. the next morning, Ethan had already spoken to Daniel. The showing happened less than 24 hours later. The house was unlocked when they arrived. Daniel was already inside, standing in the kitchen, reviewing something on his tablet. He greeted them without surprise, like their arrival was a scheduled checkpoint in a process already underway. The house matched the listing exactly. No discrepancies, no signs of staging shortcuts. The floors were clean, but not artificially polished. The air smelled neutral, not artificially scented. It felt lived in, recently vacated, believable. Ethan tested everything: light switches, faucets, window locks. Lily focused on space, light, and flow. Daniel let them move at their own pace. He didn't hover, he didn't interrupt. When Ethan asked about permits for the renovation, Daniel produced copies instantly. When Lily asked about the previous owners, Daniel explained they had relocated to Seattle for a job and were eager to finalize the sale remotely. Everything aligned. The pressure came later, and it came carefully. "There's another couple preparing an offer," Daniel said as they stood near the front door. His tone didn't change. No urgency, no dramatics, just information. "If you're interested, I'd recommend moving quickly. Not rushed, just decisively." That distinction mattered. It made the pressure feel reasonable. Over the next 48 hours, Daniel stayed consistent. He sent documents, inspection summaries, ownership records, tax statements. Every file looked legitimate. The formatting was correct. The signatures were clean. Even the timestamps matched realistic timelines. When Ethan suggested involving an attorney, Daniel agreed immediately, but added one sentence: "Just keep in mind, timing will matter if the other offer comes through." Nothing Daniel said felt like a red flag on its own. The problem was that every step removed friction. The deposit request came on Friday morning. "To secure the property while we finalize contracts," Daniel explained, "the seller requires a good faith deposit, fully documented. It ensures exclusivity while we move toward closing." He didn't rush them. He didn't demand immediate action. He gave them a window, preferably today or tomorrow, and sent wiring instructions along with what appeared to be an official agreement outlining the terms. That night, Ethan and Lily went through everything again. The documents, the emails, the timeline. They looked for inconsistencies and found none. The amount was significant, but it matched what they had expected to put down early in the process. The logic held. By Saturday morning, they made the decision. At 9:14 a.m., Ethan sent the wire. At 9:16 a.m., Daniel confirmed receipt. "Funds received. Property is now secured under your name pending final agreement," the message read. At 9:18 a.m., Ethan felt relief. At 9:20 a.m., Lily started planning where her desk would go. At 2:47 p.m., Ethan sent a follow-up message asking about next steps. No response. At 6:12 p.m., he called. No answer. At 8:03 p.m., he tried again. The number rang once, then disconnected. Sunday passed without contact. Monday morning, Ethan emailed. The message bounced back. He called again. The number was no longer in service. At that point, the timeline snapped into focus, not as a process, but as a sequence. Listing posted, immediate response, fast showing, controlled pressure, clean documentation, deposit secured, disappearance. Ethan drove to Stamford that afternoon. The townhouse looked the same, quiet, closed, no sign of activity. He knocked. A man in his 60s opened the door halfway, confused. "Can I help you?" Ethan explained, each sentence becoming harder to complete. The man's expression shifted from confusion to something closer to recognition, not of Ethan, but of the situation. "You're the third one this month," he said. The house wasn't vacant. It had never been vacant. The owners had never moved to Seattle. No one named Daniel Brooks had any connection to the property. The listing photos had been taken from an old rental advertisement years earlier, repurposed, cleaned, and re-uploaded. The documents were fabricated, but not poorly. They were built from real templates, stitched together with accurate details pulled from public records. The wiring account belonged to a shell identity, opened and closed within days. Every element had been designed to survive exactly one transaction. Ethan stood there processing the precision of it. This wasn't luck, it wasn't random, it was a system. When he told Lily, he didn't start from the beginning. He started from the only part that mattered. He's gone. There was no argument, no disbelief, just silence. They reported it. Bank, police, federal complaint systems, every step followed procedure. Every answer led to the same conclusion. The money was gone within minutes of arrival, transferred through multiple accounts, dispersed beyond recovery. What stayed was the structure of the scam itself. It didn't rely on desperation. It relied on alignment, timing, pricing, presentation, behavior. Nothing was exaggerated. Nothing felt forced. Every decision Ethan and Lily made was logical based on the information they were given. That was the design. Weeks later, Ethan stopped looking at listings entirely, not because they couldn't afford another attempt, but because the process itself no longer felt stable. Lily removed saved homes from her apps one by one, not out of anger, but to eliminate the illusion of control they believed in. The number, 9:14 a.m., stayed with Ethan, not because of the money, but because that was the exact moment the story ended, even though they didn't realize it yet. And somewhere else, at another time, another listing would go live with the same balance, just believable enough, just urgent enough, and someone else would see it at exactly the right moment.